Hello everyone, I am Ruhi Samina, psychotherapist, supervisor, and a trainer at Positive Perspective, and also the host for On Being a Therapist today. I have with me Sridevi, who is also my colleague, and today we're going to do this episode with her. And the intention, before we actually go in, the intention of this podcast of On Being a Therapist is to sort of get familiar with who our therapists are at Positive Perspective and helping community to get familiar with them definitely, and which also helps people and community to sort of figure out which therapist sort of really calls to their attention and in a way that they feel comfortable and supported and safer to come to begin the therapeutic process. And that's the hope that we have from this podcast. So without any further ado, I we will start up. And hello, Sridevi. um, so Shreya, would you like to briefly introduce yourself before we actually go into the podcast thing today?
Hmm. Hi, I'm Sridevi. I'm a fellow and therapist at PAS, and I think I can share about who I am as we progress in this session.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's nice. Yes. So Shreya, like as you know, the format is something. I have a couple of questions with me today.
Mm-hmm.
The hope is to sort of get familiar with you as a therapist and help our community know who you are as a therapist as well, right? So to start with, um, the very first question, I guess this is a commonly asked question around, but I'm wondering, um, what motivated you to actually get into the space of psychology?
Um, so actually, I'm not like a mainstream psychology student. I have had a career in a different stream. So I come from a software background. I studied computer science for a few years. I worked as a software professional for almost a decade. And then I took a break to take care of my child. And during this break, when I was contemplating whether I should go back to software, I should do something else,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the thought of pursuing psychology came to me. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't say like I was very passionate or anything like that, like a strong reason. The thing was that I was fascinated.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I was always wanting to do some work around people. Vaguely, I knew that I wanted to do some work with people, involving people. And I was fascinated about like what psychology is. That's how it led to pursuing. And everything became visible only after I started pursuing and learning more. Yeah.
And that's interesting what you're saying. It seems like, wow, almost like a decade or so in another stream altogether, and then coming into psych. That must be like very intriguing, right? To sort of really,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's also received like with mixed responses with people around. Like, hey, how come this? And why not? You've been like with this field. Why not continue? And all of that. But it's been a great change for me. Something like doing very different than what I have learned.
Yeah. And that's very something that's commonly seen. I also do career counseling, and I
Hmm.
see people come into this space, also shifting careers, right?
Hmm.
Shifting the
Hmm.
streams that they have applied for, and now that which is
Hmm.
forced upon, and they're just doing for the sake of doing it, and they're forced
Correct.
upon it, and then having to shift it. But there's a lot of shame and doubt
Hmm.
and a lot of
Hmm.
things that they're holding on to, which informs
Hmm.
them,
Hmm.
I need to be sure this time.
Correct. Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if you have any thoughts on those lines, because as you said that you did receive some of the comments from people
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
who's not working for you.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Hmm.
any thoughts on
Hmm.
that? Mm.
So I would say that like it's a very subjective experience, I guess.
Mm.
So for me, like it was possible to like let go of a career, think about something new, pursue something uh, because my partner was taking care of the financial thing, right? So there is some cushioning and some sort of assurance that okay, you can choose to do without having to economically contribute towards the family. It's okay, like you don't have to because software gives you like a lot of money, but there is also a lot of work. If you want to pursue your passion, then you have to somewhere like let go of something.
Mm.
So to be able to let go of the economical this thing, like that assurance from my partner also helped.
Mm,
And like that's why I said it's very subjective. If I had to like think about like I have to like bring back something for the family, then maybe I wouldn't have been able to like make this shift, or think about without attaching this burden of like contributing towards the family. Like I could let go of it for a while and just figure out and be okay. So I think that's the support that someone going through this would need. That okay, you figure out like what kind of support you need, we'll make sure that's there. That's how things starts working for you. Like the
yeah.
support is very important, I feel,
Mm.
for people who are trying to transition careers.
Yeah. And that's very well said that the support is something that's important. And it seems like in order to really, because it's a big shift, that you are asking for yourself. If you're forced
Yeah.
upon a particular stream and you're asking for yourself, this is what is passionating me, and I want to be able to get into the space. And that seems to involve a lot of risk as well. But you're
Yeah.
also saying that with risk, there's also this sense of like a cushioning backing up, and a support that might help you to venture into this risk. Yeah.
True. 100%. Yeah.
Interesting. So that's what motivated, and that was
Mm.
one idea that you had in to sort of really allow yourself to engage into the stream, although not coming from a psych background
Mm.
at all.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
interesting to know. Yeah. Um, and how long has it been that you've allowed yourself to get familiar with the subject?
Mm. It's almost 5 years now. I think I started in 2017.
Mhm.
And then I did my master's. After that, I did my internship. After that I did um, another one whole year of work. And then in between, I also pursued counseling skills program where you were my faculty, and I pursued MBSM where you were. So I think you also saw a little bit of my journey yourself, like from where I've begun. So it's been a long journey,
Mm,
um, but a lot of learning actually helped me to
mm,
be where I am today.
yeah. And at this point, I guess I want to ask this question, and I guess viewers will also relate to this, is for someone who's taken this choice and taken this supportive risk, if I may say that,
Mm.
right? Of course, we're privileged enough to have that support, but I'm thinking about what about people who don't have that intimate partner support thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking about someone who's taking that shift. And
Mm.
if you have any message for those people, any message for those folks who are
Mm.
wanting to shift their career and are interesting to sort of look into
Mm.
psychology as one of them.
Mm. Mm. I would definitely say that if this is something, any shift that you're making is something that matters to you,
Hmm.
something that you feel that because there will be challenges, something that you feel that you will be driven and you will be able to like uh, the way you think and how you start to implement it, two different things. And the way you start implementing, there will be so many barriers and there'll be so many obstacles. So you should be enough driven to be able to make this risky thing happen for you. But that drivenness will also come when it matters to you. Like something that you do should matter to you so much, uh, then it becomes easier. Then you will find ways of uh, getting it done.
Correct. That's interesting. So it's you said something in the beginning that it's been 5 years that you're in this
Hmm.
stream, having to get familiar with the stream itself. How long has it been that you are part of Positive Perspective?
Mhm. It's almost 5 months now
Yeah, as a fellow at
as a
Pops.
fellow. Mm-hmm.
Before that, you were also.
Yeah, I think if I have to tell you, I don't know if I shared this earlier or not. Since 2018, I have been like following pause. In 2018, when I was looking for internship, I first wrote an email to Aarti asking for an internship. But however, the internship seems to be in the summer time, and I had to give my exams in the summertime. So I had a requirement that I should complete the internship before March. So I couldn't do that internship. And then in 2019, I think, So I was like constantly following pause always. Like most of my learning also comes from following pause and learning about the stance that they hold through Insta, earlier through website. And then I think around 2020, I took up the MBSM because it was also a time that I completed my master's but didn't get my certificate.
Mhm.
So I thought I'll just see what, because I also was facing pandemic anxiety at that time. So I thought it would be a good idea to do this thing. So I came for the MBSM program. And after that, I think there was a little gap again. I did the counseling skills program from FOS. Again, I did QACP, queer affirmative, with you all.
Yes.
So I guess like somewhere I was constantly associated in the last few years, couple of years, I would say. Yeah.
Mhm. So it's been 5 years and a long journey of having to 5 years of actually engaging in in the space, but 5 months to sort of be part
Hmm.
of pause as as a team.
Yeah,
Okay,
true.
so
Yeah.
what are some of the areas of expertise, if I may call, and what are some of the population that you consult with in the therapeutic space?
Mhm. So I see like children, individuals. I see geriatric folks, queer folks, and I see couples as well. Um, yeah, this is the population that I've been seeing mostly.
Mhm. And I'm wondering if you can say a little bit more about what do you see important for yourself in this stream, as I see you being a learner for the last 5 years. And I am wondering, what do you find yourself important for as a therapist, as being a therapist, while you are engaging with the stream of people?
Hmm. Um, so, initially when I began, honestly, I didn't have a stance for myself. I was just like, okay, I just love human beings. Okay. So, and I have a lot of empathy. So I'll be a therapist. That's where I came from. But like, as I saw, like, as I learned, now I think I sort of have a stance for my individual clients and my clients who are having like relational, coming to see me in relational aspects. For my individual clients, I'm constantly looking at locating the problems outside of the person into the context
Mhm.
because of the narratives that we are born and brought up with. They bring so much shame to individuals that constantly trying to locate issues outside into the context helps them like um, lessen less the burden of shame. So basically the narrative stance I'm talking about. So that's for the individual clients. However, in relational aspects, I have begun to notice recently that um, um, so I want to be with the voice that is less heard, less seen, and less visible.
Mhm.
I want this voice to be heard, if I can say, in Dolby, like loud and clear. I want this voice to persist, exist, be seen, visible, not just by the person in the dynamic,
Mhm.
but also by the world. So I'm constantly looking for voices
Mhm.
that are unheard, unseen, be it like child and parent, child and teacher, partners in relationship, queer people and parents. Like so, looking at it from like a privilege and oppression dynamic,
Mhm.
uh, and wanting to make these voices be more seen.
Mhm.
So this is what I've noticed recently, like
Mhm.
my hope from relational aspect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. In terms of really engaging with spaces for yourself. But I'm also wondering, apart from seeing people in therapeutic space, what are other roles that you do at PAUSE?
Mm. So like with along with other fellows, we work with children under resourced schools uh, with TFI, like the Teach for India schools. So those are something that we do as a group. All the fellows indulge in this work in communities that are less privileged. So that's something we do. Other than that, occasionally I write something for the social media, and I'm also like being part of a library project which is about to kickstart in a week or so, which
Mm,
I'm really looking forward to. I think these are the few things. Yeah.
yeah, interesting. Um, And like as you said at the beginning, that there is this hope that you sit with in terms of really holding a particular stance and an intention within the people that you interact with, be it couples or be it children, be it parents or being caregivers and the stakeholders. And there's a particular stance that you hold around it. And if you have to sort of really look at um, like what do you think that what are your hopes, or if there is anything that you might contribute or change in this field of psychology or field of mental health with the particular awareness that you hold in, what will that be for the
Mm.
community? Yeah.
Mm. Um, yeah. So with this stance of like wanting these voices to be visible, uh, I think what I have seen become possible is that a lot of times the other person in the dynamic, like who's coming from a place of bit privilege,
Mm,
uh, also wants to be supportive, kind of. Uh, but the ways in which they're present in this dynamic doesn't communicate the supportiveness to the person who is at the receiving end. So by making these voices visible, I think it's for the other person in the dynamic, it becomes so visible that how do I support
mm,
this person in this dynamic, or like a teacher or a TFI fellow and a child, like what are your hopes for this person, these children,
yeah.
and how are you being present with all this intention and hopes, and is the child also taking it as a support, right? By making the voice of the child being visible to this other people, stakeholders or other parents, what I see becoming possible is like they are also able to live up to that hope. I feel that humans are like innately like well-meaning people mostly, and they go through some things and difficult experiences, and sometimes things change, and but your behavior doesn't define you.
Mm,
So just making these voices more visible can also help the other persons like um, be there for
mm,
people that they love, they care in ways that are more heartful. Yeah.
mm, mm. And it seems like with this hopes that you sit with, and how do you see uh like if you have to ask that, with this hope that you sit in, what do you hope the change to look like in this community?
Um, so you mean to say the change in the clients that I see?
Yeah, in the
Mm,
larger scope of mental health.
mm, mm, mm. I think more thriving relationships, thriving dynamic and
Mm,
dynamics and relationships uh, that allow each other to prosper and grow and thrive.
mm,
That's what my hope is,
mhm,
to be able to hold space for each other in a dynamic and
mm,
um, see them like grow,
mm.
uh, yeah, and see them like deeply listen to each other is also a great
Yeah,
uh,
definitely.
thing that grounds me the therapy. Yeah.
Mm, that's interesting. So we're getting closer to the end of our conversation now. I'm curious to know if you can share what does it mean for you to be a therapist? If
Mhm.
anything that comes along for you in that.
Mm, mm. Um, I think what it means to be a therapist is more about the stance only that I said, like what are the hopes that I sit with. Other than this, that just being able to like witness, I think, somebody's journey so um, closely, and
Mm,
to be able to acknowledge
mm,
um, their journeys, I think it's a privilege.
mm,
Um, uh, and I really like take it with a lot of respect and value
mm,
to the work that I do.
mm,
And mm, anything else? I think that is also for me being a therapist is like going to sleep thinking that okay, there is something meaningful that I'm doing in my life.
mm,
So I'm
mm.
happy about it. Yeah.
So if there is a beginner in the stream that's watching this, Is there any message that you want to share for the beginners in the stream, like of mental health profession?
Mhm. Mm. So for the beginners, I would say that um, it's really important to, during the initial years at least, it's really important to learn the ethics of practicing counseling, and have a good supervisor for yourself,
Mm,
um, and become aware of inequalities in our system, and constantly learn
mm,
uh, about, have a stance of your own, and to be able to do that, have a supervisor who can help you with that. Mostly the ethics is what I would say, because um, otherwise, like, there is scope of more harm than good that a therapist can do when there is no ethical policy in place. So working with organizations that have ethical policies, or working with people
mm,
that allow you to practice ethically and they support you to practice
yeah.
this way uh, would go a long way in your work. And this much of grounding is, I think, is our dutifulness towards our work. So I would definitely,
Very
um,
important piece that you said. Like it's to sort of really do this work ethically and authentically as well. Yeah. Wow. That was powerful conversation, Shri. With that, do you have any last thoughts on what we spoke so far?
I don't think so. Thank you so much for doing this.
Okay. Thank you, Sridevi, for doing this today. And thank you, everybody who's watching. And for more such videos, stay tuned to our social media platforms. And until next time, thank you all. Bye, Sridevi.
Thank you. Bye.